In this video, I'm going to remake another website inside of Figma. This portfolio website has been done by Alex in Webflow. It's going to be the reference web page that I'm going to remake it inside of Figma. By the way, I have to say that it has a very cool design. We have this 3D effect at the beginning and a lot of micro animation and micro interactions along the page. However, the main focus area of this video is going to be on recreating this horizontal scrolling effect inside of Figma, which you can see when I start to scroll in a vertical direction, the whole page is going to get scrolled in the horizontal direction. So bear with me until the end of this video. My name is Kira and here is Kimo. Welcome back to my channel. I have made another video with a similar topic in the last week in which I remade another website within the Figma with some sort of a scroll effect. So if you have not watched that video, you can find the link to that video in the description of this video, or you can click on the pop-up banner on top right now and watch that video. And in this video, I'm gonna do a similar thing. I'm gonna remake the website that I show you in the intro of this video. As I said, the focus is going to be on remaking the horizontal scroll effect or scroll behavior of my page. Whenever the user starts to scroll vertically in the prototype that we have, the whole page is going to get to scroll in the horizontal direction. So without further ado, let's jump into our design file. When it comes to redesigning a website, when we have a reference website, I usually start the process by collecting all the assets, visual asset, styling, everything that I might need during my design process into my design file. This will help me to kind of just go through the design process without thinking about, where can I find this specific asset, or where can I find that font? What is the font of this text, and blah, blah, blah. So everything is going to be smoother later on if I do this process at the beginning. Here, for example, you can see that I collected the typography styling, the color styling, and all visual asset that has been used in the reference. I try to collect the content of each section or each area in the reference website here as well. So for example, you can see that I separated everything based on the section name here, the header basically, or the menu. These are the text that has been used in the menu, and these are the colors that has been used. And we have this logo or this visual asset as well. I have done this for each section, so I know what are the content that are going to be shown in each section. So I have everything to go ahead and design each section. For starting point, I'm going to make some frame and try to make the layout that I have in my reference for each section. So that means I'm going to pick up the frame tool, and I would like to design a whole project that I'm going to work on in the 16:9 aspect ratio frame. So I'm going to select this frame and make the first section. Let's name it section 1. This is going to be my first section. And when I look at the reference, I immediately see that the background of my first section is red. So I'm going to select this frame and then go to this fill section in the properties panel and pick this red color as a background color or fill color of this frame. Then I'm going to add all other elements that we have in this frame in the reference video, or in the reference website, of course, to get sure that I have everything in place. So the first thing is, as I said, here in the hero section, we have this text. So I'm going to take this here, and we know that this text is green. So I'm going to pick up the this green color that I have here as the color of the text. And then I'm going to resize it a little bit to get sure that it has approximately the similar proportion of the text that we have in the reference website. Then I'm going to duplicate or copy paste this text below each other. And this reminds me that I can use auto layout in order to build a stack, which kind of helped me to organize my design. So I'm going to select all this text layer and then use combination key Shift A to kind of convert it to a new frame and add the auto layout on that. Then when I select this frame that I made newly and I apply the auto layout on that, which I'm going to rename it to the tag, I would have this auto layout properties or the setting panel in the properties panel, which I can play around with the different properties such as the gap between this text. I can reduce it, I can add padding, I can do the other stuff. Before I go further, I'm going to select all the texts which are the child layers now for the frame text that I have. And here from the advanced setting, I'm going to get sure that the vertical trim is going to be on cap height to the baseline, that I do not have extra padding around the text. So when I adjust the gap between the text, I have more accurate gap that I can handle. The next element that I would like to bring into my design is basically the text column that we have in the reference website on the right side of my layout. I have it here, so I'm gonna select it and hold the Alt key and drag and drop it into my design. And this way I'm copying it and pasting in my frame. In the reference website, you can see that some of the words such as creating and developing has a different styling with the different background color, and it has also a border. In order to make that effect, first of all, I need to divide this text layer or the text itself into 3 different layers. So I'm gonna copy this one 3 times, or maybe even more. It depends actually how I want to create that effect. But for now, I'm gonna make it 3. In the first layer that I have right now here on top, I'm going to remove everything beside website designer scaled in. And in the second one, I'm going to remove the web designer scaled in and the other text below that, functional, the rest basically. And here in the last one, I'm going to get sure that everything beside the last paragraph or the last sentence of this text is going to be removed. So basically now I have a 3 text layer. Now when I'm looking at the reference website that we have, I realize that I need to separate these 2 texts from each other as well. So I'm going to duplicate this text layer, and then here in the second one I'm going to remove the creating and part, and in the first text layer I'm going to remove the developing text. I'm going to use this text layer in order to build the graphical effect that we have there in our reference, and then I'm going to use the rest of the text to build the layout that I have. So these texts are going to be shown on top of each other. But first of all, let's make the effect that we have as a background for these 2 texts. Okay, I'm going to select this text layer, and here from the advanced setting, I'm going to set the vertical trim on the cap height to baseline, and I'm going to click on this option here to get sure that we have an auto width behavior for the text. So the whole frame around the text layer is going to follow the length of the text within that. Then I'm gonna use the combination key Shift A to make a new frame, which I'm going to call it, I do not know, maybe a highlight. And then here, when I have this, I can come here into the fill section and add a background color to this frame. And then I'm going to select the setting or open the setting panel for the background adjustment. And I'm going to switch the styling for this fill color properties to gradient. And then I'm going to rotate this gradient bar maybe 90 degree. And then I'm going to also get sure that I'm positioning the anchor points in a proper way, that we have this kind of effect. Then I'm going to select this node of my gradient, and then I'm going to change the color of this head of the gradient to this green one. And the second one, I'm going to also do the same thing. I'm going to pick the same color. I'm going to change the color slightly to kind of make my gradient. I do not have the exact color that has been used in the reference video, and I don't want to really check it, but it's going to be similar effect that we made right now here. The next thing that I need to do is, of course, select the text layer and switch the weight of the text to maybe something heavier or stronger. Here in this case, maybe bold. It's going to do the job for me very well. And again, I'm going to select the highlight frame, which I need to rename it here. Then increase the paddings that I have around this text layer to 16. And before I go further, I'm going to get sure that the resizing behavior horizontally and vertically for the parent text layer, which is the height frame, is going to be on the hug the content. You can see in this case, when we start to change the text, that layer, which is the parent layer, is going to also follow the changes in the size of the child layer. So the effect is almost there. Let's add a little bit corner radius to our design. Maybe 24 is going to be always too much actually. Let's stop with the 16 pixel. It can be less as well. If you really want to make the same exact look and feel as we have in the reference, you can just check it in the dev mode of your browser. I feel like something is different in this text in compared to the reference. So I would like to reduce the distance between the letters a little bit. We have maybe a little bit smaller gap between each letter. It looks good, it's not bad. The other thing at the end I'm going to do is I'm going to add one effect. It's going to be the shadow basically. And here in the shadow adjustment, I would like to increase the blur a little bit more to have a very soft shadow, and then reduce the transparency to maybe something around 10%. Let's also change the position of the shadow to 0. This highlight effect is ready. I'm going to make a copy from it and then copy paste this text developing here into the frame that I copy from the original one that I made. When you want to copy the new text and you want to keep the styling of the text as it is, you can use the Ctrl+Shift+V instead of Ctrl+V combination key. Now we have all the text and the highlight section of the text that we wanted to have. What we can do is we can select all these frames and use the combination key Shift A again to make another frame and basically apply auto layout and that. So in this case now we can again play around with the gap between all this text element and whatsoever. I would like to have a little bit responsive behavior here. So I'm going to select these two texts and I'm going to get sure that the horizontal resizing behavior is on fill. Vertical resizing behavior also should be on hug the content. Everything looks good so far. Then I'm going to grab this edge of my parent frame and reduce the size a little bit to kind of get closer to what we have in the reference. Some stuff is not looking like exactly what we have, for example, in reference. Here we need to have overlap between these two kind of frames. So I'm gonna select these two, make another auto layout on top of that, or another frame, apply auto layout, and reduce the gap to the minus amount. Get sure that these are going to overlap each other. The text is ready, so I'm going to select this frame and then I'm going to add a stroke here in the properties panel. Okay, no fill. Here I'm going to select on this icon, which a little bit is kind of going to be misunderstanding, or it's not so clear exactly what's going to do it. But when you select this one, you can basically say which side of this frame that you select you would like to add a stroke. Here I would like to add on top, and I would like to have 2 pixels, and at the end I would like to add a little bit top margin, maybe 16 pixel, and bottom margin and padding to 16 pixel as well. We can now add our call to action button down here, which has a very cool macro animation, but I'm not going to make it in this video. Let's see if we can find another time to work more on this design. I'm going to take this call to action text that I already have it here, and then copy paste it into my design. One thing that we have in the reference basically website is a 2 line here in the middle of these 2 texts and 1 in the right side. So I'm going to use the shape to make one rectangle, very narrow one with the small height, and of course make it full black, and then I'm gonna copy paste this one to the right side. Now I can use the combination key Shift A to, while I'm selecting obviously all these layers, to make a new frame and apply auto layout on them. I'm gonna rename this to CTA. Let's rename also this frame on top to another text maybe, because we applied auto layout. Here we have some auto layout properties that we can work with. For example, I'm gonna increase the top and bottom margin to 16 pixel and add a stroke. I would increase the size of the stroke to 2 pixel, but I would like to have the stroke only on top and bottom side. So I'm gonna choose the top side now, and then select on the custom one that we can set each stroke in each side individually. So I'm gonna set the bottom one also to 2 pixels. So we have basically the CTA we have in the design as well, but you can see that when I start to resize the parent layer, it's not going to impact the layers within that. I would like to have some sort of responsive behavior, at least a little bit. So I'm going to select these two rectangle that we made, and here in the layout section, I'm going to set the horizontal resizing behavior to fill the container. This means whenever I start to resize this call to action, or if I start to change the text here, the layout is going to maintain its looks and feel. So everything is going to be okay-ish. The rest is very simple. I'm going to select these two frame and combine these two together, group them together using another frame. And again, of course, you guess, I'm going to use the auto layout as well here. Let's get sure that we have left alignment. And here I can also get sure that the resizing behavior of the CTA is going to be set on fill the container. And this way we can get sure that the width of the CTA is going to follow the parent layer to have more clean layout here in our design and get closer to what developers are going to develop. I would like to make some sort of grid, clear kind of a grid with the column and whatsoever. To do that, I'm going to select this layer here. First of all, I'm going to rename it to content, and then I'm going to apply another frame and auto layout on top of that using the combination key Shift A. And you can see now we have another parent frame, and we add this layer inside that. I'm going to get sure that we have a center alignment for this kind of layer. And for now, I'm going to randomly just resize it a little bit. Let's leave it as it is here. Call it right section. And then we take this one we have on the left side, and then we basically use the same combination key to make another frame and apply auto layout on that. Let's rename it to the left side. Let's change it to the left alignment, and we add maybe a little bit left padding. I would like to select the section frame that we made at the beginning and apply auto layout on this as well. It works well. Then I'm going to select the child layer that we made it right now, left and right section or side. I made a mess here by naming, but it's okay. And get sure that the horizontal resizing behavior is on fill the container, which will give us such an effect. So when we start to resize it in some sort, we have a responsive layout. And the last step is just to copy this guy, this avatar, to our frame that we have, the frame section 1. I'm going to select the section 1 and copy this text, this image. You can see that it's going to follow the auto layout that we made, but I don't want that to happen. I would like to have this image in the center of my design. So I'm going to click on this icon here, which is going to give absolute positioning to your object. You can see that now you can freely kind of change the position of this image. I'm going to set it on in the center by using the this alignment tool here, and I'm going to resize it to make it a little bit bigger because we have it bigger in our reference website. And things are okay right now, but we have this problem that the text is covered by this image. So I'm going to select the right section frame. I set the alignment of this layer or frame to the right side. Here we can find this property, and let's increase the right padding to something random, maybe 106 pixel. Now it's time to work on our header, the navigation bar or whatever you call it. That one is also going to follow the same kind of procedure that we went through right now. I'm going to bring all the text and everything that we have in that in the header or in the navigation. I'm going to select asset from here and then copy, paste them here in this part of the canvas. So I'm going to manually position everything in the place, just following the basically reference website. For the sizing, for now, I'm going to keep everything random. Maybe the logo is going to be, I'm not sure, maybe 32 pixel. Looks like that. And then I'm going to select all the text that we have and make frame, apply auto layout. This is always happening when you want to create a layout. Here I'm going to get sure that we have the horizontal layout, basically horizontal stack, and then we have a maybe left alignment. For now we need to have the auto gapping This means whenever I start to resize the parent layer, the gap between the child layers are going to get expanded or getting smaller based on the need. So it's going to be automatically set. Just the problem is that in the reference, we have these two on top of each other. So I'm going to select this and this layer and make another frame and apply auto layout on that. Because here we would like to have a vertical stack instead of horizontal. Here in the properties panel, I'm going to get sure that we have a vertical orientation or vertical layout. And I'm going to reduce the gap between these two to maybe 4 pixels. Just because here it's not so kind of visible what I'm doing. We have a dark background and we have a dark foreground color. I'm going to copy this one and add it to my main layout. So I'm going to select this header and then copy it and click on the section 1 here and paste it here. I don't want that this layer and frame follow the auto layout that we have on the parent layer. So I'm going to give an absolute positioning to it by clicking on this icon here in the position panel. Let's position it wherever we would like to have it. I would like to have it on top. Let's resize it to get the same kind of size that we would like to have. And then I'm going to resize the logo to 24 pixel height. I assume this is more proper. And then I need to have this text, this rectangle that we have here in the CTA next to this text layer as well. So I'm going to select this too. You can see that this rectangle is going to fill a whole area. I don't want this to happen. So I'm going to select this too and make another frame and resize this frame to whatever I would like to have. So now the header is fairly similar to our reference website. I can go further and rebuild all other sections, but I realized that it might take a little bit of time and make this video longer than it needed to be. And as I told you, I would like to focus on the horizontal scroll effect that we have in this website, which we are getting far from it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the process of remaking the sections, and I will add 4 or 3 other kind of section here without design anything in it. And then we're going to make this scroll effect. And if you would like me to continue remaking this thing and make all the section as they are in the reference website, please let me know in the comment section. Just ask me. I like this video. This will show me that I can work more on this kind of project, and you are interested in to learn how I'm building the layouts in general. As I said, I'm going to pick up the frame tool and make a couple of other frames. I can also copy paste this one. Actually, I can make a copy. I can make another one. Let's rename the first one to section section 2, and I can copy paste a name for this third one, and the fourth one is going to have the similar naming process. In order to just be able to distinguish between these 3 frames, I'm going to pick up the first one and add a background color, a little bit dark red. The third one, I'm going to make it darker, and the last one, I'm going to make it maybe a little bit even darker. And we can also add one text layer into it to help us to kind of see the difference easier. So let's rename this one to section 2 and resize the frame to see whole text in one line, and copy paste this one to the rest of the frames, and of course change the text accordingly. So our frames are ready. We can now work on the prototyping and the scroll behavior. In this step, we need to make a frame which is going to be run at the end in a prototype mode. So basically we are running that basically frame at the end. So I'm going to make this preview frame with the same sizing that we have. And then I'm going to select all these sections and apply or make a new frame, a parent frame, to group them together. In that way I can easily move them around, and apply auto layout to have more control on more properties regarding our layout. So combination key Shift A again. Let's reduce the gap between this section to 0. And now I can copy and paste the frame that we made inside our preview kind of frame. Here, if you would like to have a horizontal resizing behavior, first of all, you need to get sure that the parent, the overall parent frame that you have, is going to be smaller than the content that you have. So basically, your content should overflow your parent layer, which here is the case. So we can see that the rest of the frame or the rest of the elements of my design is out of my parent frame. When you click this parent layer, here in the prototyping panel, you have a scroll behavior kind of section in which you have the overflow, which right now it's initially has been set up on no scrolling, which means now if I run this prototype, I cannot scroll anywhere. However, we still have some content overflowing this frame. So when I change this overflow to horizontal, this means now I can start to scroll this frame in a horizontal direction so I can see the rest of the layers. Let's run our preview. You can see now that we see our section 1, and if I start to drag my design to the right and left, I can basically scroll to the right and left. However, I cannot use the scroll kind of button on top of my mouse, which is annoying. We would like that our user to be able to kind of scroll with the mouse in a vertical direction. However, the design is going to react it differently. I don't know what's the reason. I don't know why this happened, but I figure out that if you want to have such a behavior, you need to get sure that all frame in your nested hierarchy should have the basically overflow set it up on the horizontal direction. So when I present, kind of run the prototype in the present mode, then the user can scroll it with the scroller on top. I'm running my prototype in the present mode on my MacBook. You can see when I start to scroll using the basically scroll button on my cursor on my mouse, you can see that the screen is also going to scroll horizontally, and this is a kind of a behavior that I was looking for, like exactly what we had in the reference website. So we could manage to somehow make this prototype or this effect happen in the Figma. Yes, the prototype is working, but I have to mention 2 points. First of all, it seems that there is some sort of relationships between the operating system that you're running a prototype in and the effect that you have made in your design. For example, in this case, I run the prototype on the MacBook that I had in the Chrome browser, and you could see that it's working. So I can scroll via the scroller of my mouse. However, when it comes to the Windows operating system, I tried with the same browser and I couldn't scroll via my scroller on my mouse. It seems that sometimes it works in the Mac, sometimes it doesn't work in other operating system. However, most of the time you can hold the shift and then use the scroller to scroll horizontally in your page. This is kind of a combination key which will help you to scroll using your scroller in a horizontal direction. And the next point is that it's always very tricky to build a kind of nested layers and build a kind of hierarchical structure for your layers, and to get sure that this effect is going to work. So you need to kind of get sure that the overflow property has been set to horizontal for a scroll behavior section in the prototyping panel for all parent layer of the main layer that you would like to horizontally scroll it. And at the end, I have to say that you can always use a drag and drop action or interaction to kind of scroll in a horizontal direction. It works always. And if it's touch devices, you can of course swap to the right or left. And that was it from this video. I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something new. And if it was so, please don't forget to like this video, share with the other designers in your community, and get sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done yet. As always, I want to remind you that I have a Discord channel, and the idea of this video is coming from that channel. So you can join to our community right now by clicking on the link in the description of this video. And let me know what do you think about this kind of videos in the comment section. Share your opinion on that. And let me know if you would like me to continue working on the design of today's video to remake the rest of the sections of the reference website to show you how I am building the design and the layout in the Figma using the auto layout and the other features. Let's learn together and see you in the next video.